ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Right now we are seeing the third valli of the first chapter of the Kathopanishad. And as you remember, Kathopanishad contains two chapters, and in each chapter there are three sections. So we are in the third section, which is called as the valli of the first chapter, where a few things are being discussed here. What are the things that are being discussed here? What is jiva? What is this individual which thinks that it is individual and independent of other jivas and other things? Who is that individual? What is that jiva? A person like I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, I went here, I went there, I did this, I did that. So who's this individual jiva who thinks that he's a karta and a bhokta, and a person who thinks, this individual who thinks that he's different from the rest of the jivas and from Ishvara, who always feels the need to protect himself or herself from the others. This is that jiva. What is this jiva that was talked about in the very first verse of the third valli we are looking into? And then what is it talking about next? It says that this jiva, this individual, has actually possibility of two goals. There is a possibility of two goals. One is a materialistic goal called as the prayas. The other one is the spiritual goal or moksha called as the shreyas, the shreyo marga, shreyas. So prayas and shreyas are the two journeys that a jiva can take. Two goals: materialistic goals is one end, one goal, and moksha or freedom from this entire samsara sagara, or this bondage that I feel, that is the other goal. So there are two goals, there are two choices that this jiva has: to either walk on the path of prayas, preyo marga, or walk on the path of shreyas, the shreyo marga, and achieve, whether he wants to achieve material ends or he wants to achieve moksha or freedom from samsara. And there cannot be little of this, little of that, which we have already seen in the previous valli, because they are two divergent paths. They are absolutely divergent paths, and you need to follow the Veda Purva for fulfilling all one's material needs. And to have the Preyo Marga, one has to go in accordance with the Veda Purva. Whereas in Shreyo Marga, it is divergently opposite to the Preyo Marga, where one has to give up all the material pursuits, or one has to have very, very little value or the Veda Purva, but Vedanta or the Upanishads or Atma Jnana, and reach this particular thing called as the Moksha Purushartha. So here, Yamadharmaraya himself has said earlier that these two paths are very divergent. Viparite Vishuji, he said. There are two different paths. It is not possible. Of course, moksha is the highest, and moksha includes all the other three also. And for a person who is on the path of moksha, because of his prarabdha, because of his previous karma, sanchita karma, and because of the prarabdha karma in this life, he may acquire material things which is incidental. That's it. But at the same time, the primary focus is not on the material benefits or the material way of life, but the primary focus is on the spiritual way of life. Primary focus is on the goal of moksha. So these are the two paths that are available for the jiva. So what is jiva, which was talked about, which is nothing but the reflection of this consciousness in the Hridaya Guha, which along with the body mind sense complex is called as a jiva, which feels that it is a separate entity by itself. It becomes the karta bhokta, it accrues papa punya, and it is this jiva who travels from body to body, travels from loka to loka. That was what was talked about what is this jiva. And the Upanishad says that these two paths, these two goals are open for the jiva, in the sense that a jiva can pursue either of the paths. Both the paths require preparation. It's not as if any of the path is easy. Even to follow the Preyo Marga, one requires to follow the Veda Purva, which is as difficult as following the Shreyo Marga. And if one has to follow the Shreyo Marga, one has to prepare one's intellect for this particular journey. So, two goals were talked about, and then the two types of journeys that the jiva can take. So, we suppose that this jiva is interested in moksha. That is what the Upanishad is talking about. The Upanishad is not worried about the jiva who's going after material pursuit. It has given already the two paths, material path and that of the moksha path. Already the Upanishad has talked about. Which jiva chooses which path is not actually the concern of Upanishad. But if a particular jiva has already seen the ephemeral nature and the anityatvam and the temporariness of the preyo marga, and sometime or the other this jiva decides that it wants nothing but freedom from samsara, then it takes up to the marga of shreyas or the shreyo marga. And here the Upanishad talks about the journey of shreyo marga taken up by this jiva who is interested in shreyas. Now, if this jiva has to take up this journey to Shreyas, then he has to have a vehicle or an instrument which is fit enough for this journey. And Ishvara has given us the same set of instruments for pursuing the moksha marga also, for pursuing even the preyo marga also. It is the same set of instruments that are given. And therefore, here the Upanishad gives a beautiful analogy or imagery called as the Ratha Kalpana. What is the Ratha Kalpana? The whole body mind sense complex of this jiva is described as a vehicle, and this Upanishad describes that this particular jiva has to use the same instrument, the body mind sense complex has to be used by the jiva for preyo marga also. And what should be this kind of an instrument? What should be this vehicle? It compares this body mind sense complex of a interested moksha interested jiva into a ratha, into a vehicle. It compares it to a vehicle. Like we can take it as any vehicle, like it could be a car, it could be a bus, it could be anything. First thing that when we take up a long journey is whether the vehicle is worthy of the journey. The journey worthiness of the vehicle has to be seen. And that is why he describes this entire ratha as, the body mind sense complex. We saw that Atmanam Rathinam Vidhi, this traveler jiva, the jiva who is interested in traveling. Of course, there is no traveling to moksha marga. Moksha is something which should be understood that I am already the Mukta Purusha. But then this is an imagery where the Upanishad says if he wants to take up the journey of the Moksha Purushartha, then what is this body? This body is compared to the Ratha. This jiva, the traveling jiva, the jiva who comes and goes, and who has decided that moksha is my goal in this particular life or for the lives to come, whatever type of journey he has to take place, for that he is the Ratha Swami. He is the person who is sitting inside the vehicle. What is the vehicle? Shariram tu Rathamevacha. The Sharira is this body, is Ratha. And then he says that the Indriyas are the horses. The horses, five horses that are drawing the Ratha, these are the five Indriyas that are drawing this Ratha Swami to various pursuits. Therefore, the five horses are taken to be the Indriyas. The reins that are there to hold these horses, pragraha, these pragraha or the reins that are used to hold the horses or control the horses is the mind, and the person, the driver of the Ratha, who's sitting in the driver's seat holding the pragrahas and guiding these horses, he is nothing but the Sarathi, the driver. We can say the pragrahas in the modern parlance, we can take the wheels as the ashvas, the four wheels as the horses, and the steering wheel as the pragraha, and the driver sitting behind this particular wheel as the sarathi, and then this whole car itself as the body of the jiva, and the one who is sitting in the back seat and making the sarathi to do the journey, take him to the point of his destination is the Rathaswami. This particular imagery was given. And what the Upanishad wants to say is that unless this vehicle, unless this body mind sense complex is fit enough, this journey cannot be taken. So, if you remember, in the sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, also, in the sixth verse, Bhagavan Krishna says, Bandhur Atma Atmanastasya Yenatmaiva Atmanajitaha Atmanastu Shatrutve Vartet Atmaiva Shatruvat. Okay, so he says that same thing Krishna said. A person, sorry, who is a meditator, a person who has to do the nididhyasana, this person who has to actually go on the path of moksha, and who is the the dhyana karta or the nididhyasaka, should have a body mind sense complex which is composed, which is together, which is put together. All the parts of this particular body mind sense complex which are necessary for the journey of this Rathaswami should be fit enough. They should be coordinated enough. They should be harmonious enough. They should all work together. It is not as if the horses are running somewhere, the Sarathi is drunk and he's let all the, the reins loose, and then each the Ratha is also falling apart here and there. If such a type of a body mind sense complex is there, it is not possible for this journey to take place. So, what he says is that for the Ratha or the Sharira to be fit enough for this journey, there should be Sharira Arogya. Physical Arogya should be there. That is one very important thing. Without a Sharira Arogya, it is not possible for a Jiva to go through the journey of Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam. Now, what is this journey that one is going through to moksha? Moksha journey. It is going to a guru, surrendering to the Shastra, surrendering to the Guru, and also going through this process of Jnana Yoga. Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasana Rupi Jnana Yoga is the actual journey that this Jiva has to take. It is the Jnana Yoga journey that this Jiva has to take. And what are the roads on which this Ratha is going? The roads are the fivefold roads of the whole universe with all its objects. Therefore, the horses can go wherever they want, but it is for the Sarathi or the driver to control these horses with the reins to see that the journey of the master, Ratha Swami, sitting in the Ratha, is successfully made. Therefore, Krishna says here that arogyam is very important. Number one, the indriyas have to be under control and cooperate with this whole body. These indriyas are nothing but the indriya control, or we won't call it control, management of the indriyas. You cannot control the indriyas by force, but the nigraha or the management of the indriyas, indriya nigraha, is called as dhamma. Then the reins should be properly held by the sarathi. So that is what is called as the shama. And the sarathi should have enough viveka, enough of discrimination, how to run this chariot, how to control the horses, how much to control the horses. All these things, the sarathi has to have the viveka. Therefore, all these things, Sharira Arogyam, Dhamma, Shama, and Viveka are very, very important things. Along with that, maturity of the mind, following the values, maturity of the mind by following amanitvadi values, then this whole vehicle is worthy of that journey to be taken. And so, after giving that particular Ratha Kalpana, he wanted to say, the Upanishad Guru, who is the Upanishad Guru here, Yamadharma Raja wanted to say, if this vehicle is not in good condition, then what happens? He talked about it in the fifth verse and the sixth verse, which we saw in the last session. In the fifth verse, he said, Yastu avijnanavan bhavati ayuktena manasa saha. Ayuktaha, the one who is not together, the one who does not have shama, the one who does not have viveka, tasya indriyani avashyani, whose indriyas are not having the dhamma to be under the control of the viveka yukta buddhi. Viveka yukta sarathi, if these indriyas are not in the condition to be, kept under control or managed well by this buddhi, then dushtashva iva saratehe. These indriyas can be really like untrained, ill-trained or untrained horses, which can literally, lead this ratha to really the death of the person also. It can lead to that. That is why so much importance is given to the arogya and to the dhamma or indriya nigraha. In the sixth verse also, which we saw last time, he contrasted. He said, for a person, for this mumukshu, who is taking up this journey of jnana yoga towards moksha, for such a person, a well conditioned body, Shamadamanvita, mind and sense organs, and also a buddhi, a sarathi with the viveka buddhi. Such a person with this well controlled and a harmonious, all these organs working well together, it is like sitting in a ratha with well trained horses. So he said, Yastu Vijnanavan Bhavati. This person, this jiva, for whom the Sarathi is Vijnanavan, Yuktena Manasasaha, a well managed mind, Yuktaha means a well managed Manonigraha, Shaman Yuktaha, Shaman Vitaha mind, then Tasya Indriyani Vashyani, whose Indriyas are under the control of the Sarathi Vashyani, Sadashva Iva Sarathehe. For this Sarathi, they are Sadashva, Sadashva Iva Sarathehe. Sad Ashwa means they are like good horses, well trained horses for the Sarathi. Then again, in the next verse, in the seventh, eighth, and ninth verses, again he, Yamadharmaraja, reiterates on what he has talked about the health of the body, mind, and sense complex. So, in the seventh verse, the same concept is given, but in a little different way. What does he say? Yastu avijnanavan bhavati amanaskah sada shuchihi न स तत्पदम् आप्नोति संसारगम् अच अधिगच्छति संसारम् अधिगच्छति हु यस्तु अविज्ञानवान् भवति अमनस्कः the one, the jiva, the one here means the buddhi, who is avijnanavan. There is no viveka, there is no discrimination. Amanaskaha. Actually, amanaskaha means the one who has no mind. But here, what it means is a person whose mind does not know where to go, what to do. The mind starts with the jnana yoga pursuits, goes for a short time, and then decides it is not for that, goes back to some other method, goes back somewhere else. So a mind which is not giving, supporting this particular jiva in his journey, amanaska, as though he does not have a mind which is not very well managed. So there is no shama, there is no manonigraha. Such a person, amanaskaha, sada ashuchihi. Sada ashuchihi. Ashuchihi means what? This mind which does not have any concept of dharma, a mind which is full of raga dveshas, lobha, raga, dvesha, kopa, all these things, which are there, which are making this mind as though impure. Sada ashuchihi. There are no good values. Devi sampatti is not there. Mostly asuri sampatti is there. Highly emotional mind, all kinds of emotions, all the time raga, dvesha, anger, a mind which is not really, prepared or matured with values. Such a mind, a person may be a viveki, possible, but if the mind of such a person is not having any values for these things, and if the mind is completely full of raga dveshas, and a mind which does not know what it wants to do, and a mind which is not under the nigraha of the Sarati, such a mind, what happens? Nasa tat padam apnoti. Such a mind is incapable of grasping the truth on the journey of Jnana Yoga. Tat padam apnoti. Tat padam means whatever the Upanishad is going to talk about Brahman and Atma, that tat padam na apnoti. Brahmani does not really find that goal of moksha. He does not really understand what moksha is. He does not understand what actually this Brahman is. Whatever is taught in the Upanishad, this mind is incapable of understanding it, because the mind is absolutely, it is flittering away here and there. There are no values, there is no dharma. The mind is full of ragadveshas, no management of ragadveshas, no daivi sampatti. Such a mind is incapable of taking this journey. Na satat padam apnoti samsaram cha adhigacchati. Again and again, such a mind draws this Rathaswami again and again into samsara, again and again into coming back into various bodies and coming back into this samsara. So, what is said here is, it's not only the viveka of the Sarathi that is important, the mind also should be all right. It should be a fine tuned instrument. Now, when we are tuning stringed instruments, when there are four or five strings like a tanpura or a sitar, or how we tune that, that all the four are in harmony. Just imagine that one of the strings is playing something else, another is something else, like in an orchestra. If every instrumentalist is playing whatever he wants, in whichever shruti he wants, however he wants, without trying to be a part of the orchestra, what will happen to the music? Therefore, that kind of a team effort of all the parts involved, the body, the mind, the buddhi, the sense organs, they should all work harmoniously as one team. Then only this whole journey is going to become easy, and it is going to be in purposeful journey. Otherwise, an instrument where, or the body mind sense complex, where amanaskah sada ashuchihi, ashuchihi, the one where there is no shuchi, there is no clean mind here, full of adharma and other things. Such a mind is incapable of taking this journey. A distracted mind, a constantly distracted mind is incapable of taking this journey of Jnana Yoga. On the contrary, again in the eighth verse, Yamadharmaraja says, what does he say? Yastu vijnanavan bhavati samanaskah sada shuchihi satu tatpadam apnoti yasmad bhuyo na jayate. It is exactly opposite to the previous verse. It is quite, these verses are quite easy actually. If you see the, compare and contrast, if you see the fifth verse and sixth verse are compared contrast to each other. When something is not proper, what happens? When something is proper, what happens? So here, when the mind is not really a part of this, this whole team, the mind is out of this team, what happens to the journey? And what happens if the mind is also fine tuned along with the other organs? What happens? That's what he says here in the eighth verse. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati. The one, the jiva, the sarathi who's a vijnanavan, viveki. Samanaskaha sada shuchihi. Samanaskaha. That means what? The Sarathi does not have to put too much of adjustment of this pragraha. He can, hold the pragrahas tight enough for the horses to know where to go. At the same time, loose enough so that he knows that the horses are not going to go here and there. So therefore, the mind is in such a way fine tuned that this mind is without any ragadveshas. Sada shuchihi, what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Raga Dvesha Viyuktestu, and the one who has actually won over, okay, that is Jitendriyaha, he says, Jitendriyaha, the one who has won over, the one who has his mind and sense organs in his Nigraha, under his management. He is not a slave of the sense organs or the mind, whereas the mind and the sense organs listen to him. Such a person, yastu vijnanavan bhavati, samanaskaha, a person with the mind which is very, very absolutely fit enough to lead this journey. Sada Shuchihi. This mind, which is full of values, where raga, dveshas, and other impurities have been, dealt with, and the mind is clean enough, fit enough to take this journey. Sa tu, such a jiva, such a Rathaswami, such a jiva, satu, tat padam apnoti. He understands the purpose of Vedanta. He understands what the Jnana Yoga is trying to tell him. How Jnana Yoga, Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasanam is taking, how the journey of Jnana Yoga is going on. He is able to understand and ultimately get the meaning of what the Upanishads are saying. Satu tat padam apnoti tasmad bhuyo na jayate. A person who is able to take up the journey fully and completely without stopping in the middle, without getting any disturbance in the middle, once he reaches his goal and finds out Aham Brahmasmi, I am the very Siddha Swarupa Moksha Swarupa Atma. It is the one who understands very clearly. There's no question of this Jiva coming back again and again into this samsara. That means what? This person has completed his journey of coming back and he is no longer coming back into the samsara. The journey is completed. I have realized that I am the Mukta Purusha. This Jnana Yoga journey has led me to myself, nowhere else. Moksha is not something far away there to be achieved. Moksha is here. I am free. I am already a Mukta Purusha. I was never bound. This bondage was only something which was, because of my avidya, because of my ajnanam. Iti, this knowledge is got at the end where I see myself as the Moksha Swarupa Atma. Aham Tad Brahma iti, I very clearly understand. This is the end of the journey, and he says, Tasmat Bhuyo na Jayate. Such a person who has understood his real nature as Aham Brahmasmi, such a person does not come back again and again into various bodies. There's no question of travel for him anymore. His travel is over. It is only the Preyo Margi or a person who has not succeeded in Jnana Yoga comes back again and again. But in the sixth chapter, Lord Krishna has promised us those who have started this journey of Jnana Yoga, even if they have not come to the end, and if they die in the next life, I see that they begin from where they left, and then they will have the surroundings which are conducive enough to continue their journey. So we have to accept and trust this promise of Krishna that if we are not able to really achieve that understanding, there's nothing to achieve here in moksha. It is a mere question of mere understanding. It is an understanding that I am this Mukta Purusha Atma, I am this Brahman. And once I understand that, then I realize this journey was nothing but understanding that I am not this body, mind, sense complex, but I am this Atma, which is none other than the Adhishtanam Brahma. This is the completion of the journey. Once this journey is completed, there's no question of this Jiva coming back again and again into life. Then here he says here in the next verse, in the ninth verse, which is the end of this Rathakalpana, what does he say? विज्ञानसारथिर्यस्तु मनः प्रग्रहवान्नरः सोध्वनः परमाप्नोति तद्विष्णोः परमं padam. So, Vijnanavan Sarathi, he summarizes the whole thing now. Yastu Vijnanavan Sarathihi. The Jiva who has got a Vijnanavan Sarathi, a Sarathi or the intellect which is prepared with Karma Yoga and Upasana Yoga, and there is adequate Viveka and Vairagya, and there is a discriminative intellect there. Manaha Pragrahavan Naraha, and a person who has a shamanvita manaha saha advanaha param apnoti. Ultimately apnoti means what? He gets that ultimate journey or the goal for which he started the journey, that is so advanaha. Advana means ultimately that path he reaches, that particular road he travels, that particular journey which he has taken, it takes him to the right end. What is the end? Param apnoti. Brahmavidapnoti param, says Taittiriya Upanishad. Such a person who has taken the journey of Jnana Yoga ultimately understands what that moksha is. My journey initially starts with what? I want moksha. For me now, where is moksha? Where is Brahman? Brahman is to be something somewhere as an object. Moksha is somewhere. I have to go all the way and find this moksha. I have to go all the way somewhere with Jnana Yoga. Brahman is sitting somewhere. I will find this moksha, Brahman and moksha. It's not that. This journey only tells me that what I'm looking for is myself. What I'm looking for as Brahman is nothing but this Atma. What I'm looking for as moksha is not a padam. It is not as something which is there to be reached. It is something which I know, which I already am. That I'll come to know only at the end of my Jnana Yoga journey. That is what is called as the understanding. That Jnanam, that ultimate Atma Jnanam, as to who I am, and I really don't need this journey. I'm already that which I'm looking for. But this journey was necessary to understand this fact that whatever I want to be, whatever I was going in search of, I'm already that. Iti, I understand it at the end of the journey. Saha advanaha param apnoti. That ultimate param advanaha, that ultimate goal, he apnoti. Apnoti means what? He gets. See, there is a limit to which the Upanishad can also say. It says apnoti, prapnoti. He gets moksha, he gets Brahman. But we have to understand very clearly there's no getting anything here. Brahman is not an object of my perception. Brahman is me, the subject consciousness. Moksha is not something to be attained outside. Moksha is my own nature. I am the Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Atma. But when will I know it? Only when I take up this journey of Jnana Yoga, I will know it. And ultimately, the Upanishads say, what are you looking for? That Brahman which you are looking for, that moksha which you are looking for, is nothing but that consciousness within you. Yo Veda Nihitam Guhayam Parame Vyoman. Taittiriya Upanishad says, Yo Veda, the one who knows, that consciousness which is in one's own Hridaya Guha, that is what is this Atma, this Brahman. And knowing this is ultimately moksha. And knowing this, I realize that the body, mind, sense complex are mere appearances. The world is mere appearance. The world is mithya. The body, mind, sense complex is mithya. I am the only Satyam, Aham Atma, only Satyam. This understanding is ultimately what is called as moksha. Therefore, he says, So advana paramapnoti tad Vishnoho paramam padam. This understanding that I am that Atma which is ever free is called as Vishnoho Paramam Padam. It does not mean that I reach Vaikunta or Kailasa. Vishnoho Paramam Padam means what? I reach or I understand the Vishnu Swarupa. Vishnoho Paramam Padam does not mean I go to Vaikunta. That's also a place. So, therefore, it is not that. The meaning of Vishnoho Paramam Padam. So Advanaha Param. That Param Advanam Apnoti. What is that? Tad Vishnoho Paramam Padam. That means what? This Vishnu means Sarva Vyapaka. Vyapnoti. Sarvam Vyapnoti iti Vishnu. So, what is Vishnu? That Atma which is everywhere. That Atma, that Brahman, which pervades everything. That is the very Swarupam of Vishnu also. So when you say he reaches the abode of Vishnu means what? Paramam Padam Vishnoho Paramam Padam Apnoti. Means he reaches the abode of Vishnu. What is the meaning of that? Reaching the abode of Vishnu means understanding himself to be nothing but that Vishnu Swarupa. What is the Swarupam Vishnu? All pervading consciousness. What is Vishnu? That is, all pervading. Everywhere. Anoho Aniyan, Mahatoho Mahiyan. That consciousness, that existence which is there from the smallest of the small to the largest of the large, that which is the Adhishtanam, Sarva Adhishtanam, that is what is called as Vishnu. Vyapnoti, that which is all through, it is abiding everywhere. That Swarupam of Vishnu, which is nothing but my own Swarupam, Apnoti. That means this person understands that all pervading Brahman is nothing but I, the Atma. Atma Brahma Aikyam. This particular knowledge, this particular understanding, knowing my own Swarupam as the very Swarupam of Vishnu is what is called as Vishnoho Paramam Padam. There's no question of reaching anywhere here. There's no question of reaching any particular loka here. Here, Vishnoho Paramam Padam means I understand the reality or the truth of my own nature. My Swarupam I understand. And what is my Swarupam? I am not different from that Brahman. Brahma Swarupam is my Swarupam. Vishnu Swarupam is my Swarupam. Shiva Swarupam is my Swarupam. Ultimately, it is one and the same consciousness which is there in everything, which is the very Adhishtanam, which is the very Swarupam of everything. This understanding is what is called as Vishnoho Paramam Padam. Now we have finished the instrument or the vehicle which was necessary for the very journey. Now in the next verse, Bhagwan Yamadharmaraja wants to talk about what is this journey, how this journey is, what is this Jnana Yoga, what is the meaning of this Jnana Yoga or this journey that I am taking. That is what he wants to talk about here. And what does he say here? In the 10th verse, Indriyebhyah parahyarthaha arthebhyascha param manaha manasastu para buddhihi buddheratma mahan paraha. So he says, what is this journey that we are taking? Okay, we talked about the goal, moksha being the goal, and taking the Shreyo Marga, Shreyas as my journey. Shreyas means Jnana Yoga as my journey, and this vehicle, its fitness and everything we talked. So, what is this actual journey now? What is the meaning of traveling on this Advanam? Vishnoho Paramam Padam and Advanam, which is Sodvanam, which we saw in the previous verse. What is this path? What is this understanding? What is this Jnana Yoga? How do I understand that I am that Vishnoho Paramam Padam, Vishnu Swarupa Atma, Aham Asmiti? How do I understand? That is what is being told here in the 10th verse. And the 10th verse and the 11th verse talk about this actual understanding of Jnana Yoga, what actually Jnana Yoga teaches, what actually the Upanishads teach. And this particular in 10th and 11th verses, Kathopanishad follows Taittiriya Upanishad. And how is this journey explained? It is explained in the form of Panchakosha Viveka. So, how do I understand that I am the Atma, I am that Vishnoho Paramam Padam? By understanding that I go through this knowledge, this process, this teaching of the Upanishad, which is called as Panchakosha Viveka. We saw that in Vivek Chudamani. We saw what are the five koshas, what is Annamaya Kosha, what is Pranamaya Kosha, what is Manomaya, what is Vijnanamaya, what is Anandamaya, then what is Atma. We saw that in detail. We saw that how we have to go from the grossest to the subtlest. Annamaya is the grossest. This is the physical body. This physical body is the grossest part of my body, mind, sense complex. And Atma is the subtlest. I, my Swarupam, I, the Atma, is the subtlest actually. Therefore, if I have to travel that journey, where I have to travel inwards, this journey which I am taking up with this body mind sense complex is not an outward journey, it is an inward journey. What is the meaning of inward journey? From the Annamaya, I have to go to the Pranamaya. I have to withdraw myself into the next subtler layer called Pranamaya Kosha. Then I have to withdraw myself into the Manomaya Kosha. Then withdraw myself into Vijnanamaya Kosha. Then withdraw myself into Anandamaya Kosha. And then I have to literally jump and withdraw myself onto that ultimate consciousness Atma. And every time I withdraw my mind, my intellect from the gross to the next subtler level, I see the grosser level as mithya. So initially I take this body as reality. Then Panchakosha Viveka says, you are not the body. Go inwards, withdraw yourself, your intellect to the next subtler layer called as Pranamaya. So right now you are in Pranamaya, Annamaya becomes Mithya. From Pranamaya, I withdraw my intellect into Manomaya. Pranamaya also becomes Mithya. I withdraw my intellect from Pranamaya to Manomaya. Pranamaya also becomes Mithya. From Manomaya, I withdraw my intellect to Vijnanamaya. Then the mind, the Manomaya Kosha also becomes Mithya. Then I withdraw myself, my intellect from even the Vijnanamaya Kosha to the last Anandamaya Kosha or the Karana Sharira, and then abide myself in the Atma. So what is that? Panchakosha Vilakshana Shariratraya Vyatirikta, whatever Atma is there, I am that. I am that consciousness which is Shariratraya Vilakshana, Panchakosha Vilakshana, Sakshi Chaitanya Atma. It also says Avasthatraya Sakshi. If you remember Tattva Bodha. शरीरत्रय व्यतिरिक्त पंचकोश विलक्षण अवस्थात्रय साक्षी आत्मा. That is what the Tattva Bodha says. This is what exactly the Viveka Chudamani also said. Therefore, what is this journey of Jnana Yoga? This journey of Jnana Yoga is an inner journey. It is an internal journey where I start from the body and start going inwards, withdrawing myself inwards into the subtler and subtler and subtler layers in 5 steps, and then I abide myself into that ultimate subtlest Atma from which there is no further travel. This is the journey that the Jiva has to take place. This journey can be taken place only with the help of the Guru and Shastra. This journey is what is called as Jnana Yoga. How do I come to myself as the Atma? First thing is, I should know I am not the body, mind, sense complex. We very in Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna said, Vivek Chudamani also, we learned that I am not the body, mind, sense complex. I am not the Panchakoshas. I am not the three avasthas, but I am the avasthatraya sakshi. I am the Panchakosha sakshi. I am the Shariratraya sakshi Chaitanya Atma. But that journey which I take up to start from the grossest level of my being, called as this gross physical body, Annamaya Sharira, and then take steps backwards, withdraw myself into subtler and subtler, 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 and subtlest layer, and abide myself in that Atma from which there is no further journey. This is what is called as the Vishnoho Paramam Padam. This is the journey that this body, mind, sense complex has to take. Just imagine an outer journey probably is easier, but an inner journey. For a Preyo Margi, it is the outer journey. But for a Shreyo Margi, for a Mumukshu, it is the inner journey. So, what kind of a journey is this? It is a journey going within oneself, going from the grossest layer of one's personality to the subtlest Atma. This process of withdrawing from gross to the subtlest is done through Jnana Yoga in the form of Panchakosha Viveka, in the form of Drisha Viveka, in the form of Karana Karya Prakriya, in the form of Avasthatraya Viveka, as it is told in various Upanishads. But here, what does he say? He takes the Taittiriya Upanishad method, Panchakosha Viveka, he takes, and he comes to that point of Atma. So, what does he say here? How does he explain? In 2 verses, he explains Yamadharmaraja. That means Nachiketa should be such a prepared adhikari for this that he understands the Panchakosha Viveka. In 2 verses, he says. It is not explained the way it is explained in Taittiriya Upanishad. In a very, very cryptic form, it is explained here. He says here, Indriyebhyaha parahi arthaha. So he leaves the body here. The body is the grossest. But you understand at the next level of the gross body is the indriyas. Okay? The indriyas are the ones who are the grossest, right? Tavi has taken as the gross one. Subtler than the indriyas are the indriya arthas. Very confusing this is. Indriyebhyaha hi para arthaha. That means the objects of the sense organs are even subtler than the sense organs. We may find it very difficult to understand because we don't see the sense organs. We know, we are aware that there are sense organs, but very grossly we see the sense objects. Then why is Yamadharmaraja saying that the organs of the senses are grosser and the objects of the senses are subtler? Why is he saying? Because mere sense organs cannot do anything. It is the sense objects which attract the sense organs. In the presence of the sense objects, the sense organs get distracted and go towards the sense objects. Therefore, the sense objects have a capacity to draw the sense organs to themselves. Therefore, he says, Indriyas, body mind, the body mind sense complex. He starts with the Indriyas because we all know anyway that the Sthula Sharira is something which is the grossest, everybody knows. So he starts from the Sukshma Sharira only and says, Indriyebhyaha parahi artaha. Indriyas are the first level at which we start. But we understand that the objects of the sense organs are probably subtler because Indriyas alone cannot do anything. It is the sense object which literally distract and draw the sense organs. Then he says, Arthebhyascha param manaha. Even if the sense objects distract or attract the sense organs, the mind is more superior to them because the mind can decide not to go after these objects. Therefore, arthebhyascha param manaha, the mind is subtler than the sense organs and the sense objects. We know that all the sense organs report to the mind. Whatever the eye see, the ears hear, whatever the nose smells, whatever the tongue tastes, whatever the skin touches, everything is reported to the mind. So he says, Indriyebhyaha paramanaha. That's what Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita. He doesn't go to this, he makes it much easier. Indriyebhyaha paramanaha. He goes straight away. He says, Indriyas are gross, the body is the grossest, Indriyas are the next gross station, and mana is the next subtler station. Subtler. Grossest station is the body, and the indriyas are the next station, next gross or the subtler than the body. Then he says, Arthebhyascha param manaha. Even subtler than the sense organs and sense objects is this mind, because the mind can decide, the mind can have a say in going with the sense organs or not, the mind can have a say. Then manastastu para buddhi. The buddhi, or like the Sarathi we saw, that's why this example was given. The Indriyas were horses to be controlled. Pragraha is taken as the reins, which is the representing the mind. And then Sarathi, who is using the Pragraha to control the horses, is taken as the Buddhi. So Buddhi is subtler than the mind. So what he says here, the gross body, this body mind sense complex in which the gross body, this Sthula Sharira is the grossest. The next subtler layer is what? The Indriyas are the subtler layer. Subtler to the Indriyas are the mind, is the mind. Subtler to the mind, manasastu para buddhihi, buddhehe atma mahan paraha. And here what he says, he does not go from Vijnanamaya or Buddhi, he goes to Samashti Buddhi. Vyashti Buddhi to Samashti Buddhi. Why? Because Vyashti Buddhi is nothing but a representation of the Samashti Buddhi. He does not go directly to the Atma here. Straight away, Yamadharmaraja says, Indriyas are next subtler layer to the physical body. The mind is subtler than the Indriyas. The Buddhi is subtler than the mind. So we are jumping backwards from the body to the Indriyas to the Mana and to the Buddhi. So from Buddhi I should have jumped to the Karana Sharira. No. What does Yamadharmaraja do here? He takes the Samashti Buddhi to be actually subtler than the Vyashti Buddhi. So he says that Mahan Atma, Buddhehe Atma Mahan Paraha. Mahan Atma here means Buddhehe Paraha, that is even subtler than the individual Buddhi. It is the Samashti Buddhi. What is Samashti Buddhi? Samashti Sukshma Sharira. What is the name of Samashti Sukshma Sharira? Hiranyagarbha. So directly Yamadharmaraja is talking about simultaneously seeing the Vyashti and the Samashti together. Same thing happens in Taittiriya Upanishad also. When you go backwards from the grossest to the subtlest, the Samashti and the Vyashti are taken together. The total and the individual are transcended together. So, what is this process here? Transcending the gross physical body to the next level called as Indriyas, subtler level. From the Indriyas, transcending one's mind, one's understanding that I am not the Indriyas, but I am the Manaha, subtler. Then I am not the Manaha, I am the Buddhi. Then I am not this individual Buddhi, I am nothing but this manifestation of Samashti Buddhi. That is also called as Mahat. In the next verse, he says in the 11th verse, Mahataha param avyaktam avyaktat purushaha paraha purushanna param kinchet sa kashta sa paragatihi. So these two verses talk about that inner journey. What is this inner journey? I see myself as this gross physical body. I'm explaining again because this is very subtle. I'm not this physical body. I'm something subtler to the physical body. Indriyas are subtler than the physical body. Therefore, I transcend my identification with the physical body and transcend or jump to the sense organs. There I realized that I'm not the sense organs also, but I am the mind. I transcend the sense organs and then come to the mind. I am the mind. Then I realized that mind also, I am not the mind also. Then I transcend the mind and come to the buddhi. Buddhi means the intellect, that sarati which was talked about. My intellect. Intellect is the subtlest of the sukshma sharira in me. That is the subtlest one. Indriyas and mind are grosser compared to the intellect. So, I am not the body, I am not the sense complex, I am not the mind, now I am not even the buddhi. Then who am I? I am the samashti mahat. What is this samashti mahat? I am nothing but this samashti sukshma sharira. The samashti sukshma sharira, samashti buddhi is given the name as mahat or hiranyagarbha. So who am I? I am not the body, I am not the sense organs, I am not the mind, I am not the buddhi, I am that samashti sukshma sharira, samashti buddhi called as mahat. Then mahataha param avyaktam. Even subtler than the samashti buddhi is what? Prakriti or Maya or Avyaktam. Then Avyaktat Purushaha Paraha. Even more sensitive or more subtle or higher, more pervading than even Maya or Prakriti is Purushaha. Yat Avyaktat Paraha Purushaha. Purusha means what now? This consciousness is called Purusha. So, what have I done this internal journey? What is this internal journey? I have started taking myself to be the body mind sense complex. So, in my journey with this vehicle of Ratha, I don't go outside. This journey is an opposite journey inward. I start from the grossest physical body. This physical body, I am not this physical body. Then I jump, I transcend, go inwards. I take my ratha inwards to the sense organs. I'm not the sense organs also because there are so many other layers which are subtler behind the sense organs. Mind is subtler. Paraha, Indriyat Paraha. From Indriya, Paraha means subtler than the Indriyas is the mind. So I am the mind. Subtler than the mind is Buddhi. So I am the Buddhi. Subtler than the individual Buddhi is the Samashti Buddhi. Therefore, who am I? I am not this individual Buddhi or the individual mind. I am nothing but a manifestation of the Samashti Buddhi. The Samashti Buddhi itself is manifesting in me this body mind sense complex as individual Buddhi. But this intellect, this Buddhi, actually I am what? I am nothing but the Samashti Buddhi. And subtler than the Samashti Buddhi is what? Avyaktam or Maya or Prakriti. It is called as Avyaktam. From where? What comes? The entire universe comes. That Avyaktam, Maya Saita Brahman is also called as Ishvara. Ishvara is the subtlest of the material world. So that's why we divide into, I have already told you that Vishwa and Virat is the pair, Vyashti Samashti pair. Vishwa is the gross body, is called as Vishwa, and the Samashti gross universe is called as Virat. The Vyashti Sukshma Sharira is called as Tejasa. The Samashti Sukshma Sharira is called as Hiranyagarbha. And the Vyashti Karana Sharira is called as Prajna. The Samashti Karana Sharira, which is called Avyaktam here, is nothing but Ishvara. Therefore, where have we started? I am not the body, I am not the sense organs, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am the Samashti intellect, I am not even that, I am the Samashti Karana Prapancha, I am not even that, I am that Purushaha, that Purusha or that consciousness which is the Adhishtanam of that very Avyaktam also. Avyaktat Purushaha Paraha. Purushan na param kinchita. There is nothing beyond this. We can't pass the buck anymore. So the body, indriyas, then mind, then buddhi, and then samashti buddhi, samashti avyaktam or maya or prakriti, and then Brahman or Atma. So in Taittiriya Upanishad, what happens? Some Vyashti level itself, it goes up till the Atma. Here, what does Yamadharmaraja do? Once my journey has come to the Vyashti Buddhi, he makes it that this journey should include the samashti also. So I understand that the buddhi, is nothing but the samashti buddhi, and there is something subtler than the samashti buddhi, which is samashti means total. There is certain thing which is subtler than the total buddhi, and this subtlest matter principle, which is called as avyaktam or which is called as Ishvara, even subtler than that, the subtlest beyond which nothing is there, is nothing but me, this Purusha. Purushat na kinchit param sa kashta sa paragatihi. That is the ultimate limit. I am that Purusha. Sa kashta. That means that is the end of the journey. Sa paragatihi. That is the ultimate paragatihi. Gati means that is I have reached. There is nothing more to go. Atma, Brahman, I am that Purusha. That's another name given for Atma. Atma, Brahman, Purusha. Purusha is another. Purusha is not this particular body. Purusha means here Brahman. So ultimately, where is my journey? Where has my journey begun? My journey began with this body and then went inwards to the sense organs, to the mind, to the buddhi, and then to the samashti buddhi, then to samashti avyaktam, and then it is now established and abiding in Atma Swarupa, which is nothing but me, myself. Sa kashta, sa paragatihi. So, sa kashta, sukshmatvat, because of sukshmatvat, that is the subtlest. Purusha or consciousness is the subtlest. It is not the matter. Avyaktam is the subtlest matter. Matter ends there. Then who am I? I am the subtlest of the subtle. Sukshmat sukshmataram nityam. So I am the subtlest consciousness, the Atma, nothing other than Atma. And where is this Atma situated? Everywhere. This is what is called as the Vishnoho Paramam Padam in the previous verse. So in two verses, Yamadharma Raja has described the inner journey. And we'll stop with this here and take up what this Atma is with reference to the individual in the next verse. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्मविद्याचार्याय नचिकेतसे च